This is Horror Movies with TNA, and in this episode, we're talking about The Crazies.
Fuck me. I don't need to see a pissing helicopter that often in the sky chasing people. Jesus.
Hi, Tony. Anything you've watched recently before we start?
Yes, TV.
Very good. Movies, games, and videos. Anything to recommend?
All right, we're doing videos as well.
Movies, games, and videos. Anything to recommend?
I watched 28 Years Later.
Oh, yeah. I'm waiting till I've rewatched the first two. Any good?
We rewatched the first one before, and then the second one. I do like, but it's gonna be off. Yeah, but then I've watched Bone Temple. Loads better. Like twice as good.
Is that a different film to 28 Years Later?
It's a sequel, but I just think it's a better made film, mainly because it focused more on Ralph Fiennes and the guy that's from bloody Derby,
Sinners. From Sinners. Can't
yeah.
his name.
He's acing it again, and it's to be honest, I laughed out loud a few times. It's a lot funnier than the rest. Whether that makes it good or bad, I think it makes it better because also it's still a bit grim.
There you go then.
We watched Slaughterhouse Rock, which is an 80s kind of horror with Tony Basil. Hey, Mickey. That's all you can do before it gets
she
told
plays
off.
like a kind of ghost spirit.
Yeah, it's mental. It was all right. It was different.
The Initiation we watched, and what was the third one?
Boarding House.
And Boarding House.
Boarding House
yes.
was a good laugh, to be honest.
Yes.
It went on far too long.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's one of the first, you said, cinema films that was done all on VHS. So the quality of the film isn't a film. The VHS is pretty shitty.
Yeah.
And a massive vanity project where one skinny bloke...
He writes the film, and he decides to write in a lot of scantily clad...
He's a skinny arse.
Women. Yeah. Okay, yeah.
And Megan 2.0. It's not a horror film. It's an action film. And again, it's quite funny. I think it's an action comedy. Better than I thought it was going to be honest.
I watched Deadly Spawn from 83. I quite enjoyed it, actually. I watched The Mutilator, because last time we watched I fell asleep.
Yeah, you did, didn't you?
I watched The Mutilator. I pretty much remembered all of it, to be honest. But then I went and watched Mutilator 2 that came out in 2023. Quite a meta. They're making a sequel and the cast come back together. Lots of practical effects that are, not so good. I did actually like the first one. The second one wasn't as good, but, it's fun. Absolutely fine.
I remember a couple of bits in the first one. One with a car chopped him in half or something.
Yeah, one with a car chops the guy in half, and obviously the infamous scene with the hook in the woman. But yeah. So that was it. I also watched the latest Jim Hosking film, which isn't a horror, Ebony and Ivory, by the guy that did Greasy Strangler.
Oh, what was that like then? Because I vaguely know about it, but I don't know. What's it about?
It's the retelling, loose retelling of Paul McCartney and Stevie Wonder coming together to write Ebony and Ivory on the Mulligan Tyre, and as with Greasy Strangler and these other films, it tests your patience with it repeating things over and over again. But
potato,
it's quite funny. Yeah, and I also watched We Bury the Dead, which was the Daisy Ridley film. It's a zombie one, which I thought was quite good. It's kind of like a different take on the zombie film. Essentially, the Americans have inadvertently bombed Tasmania, killing everybody, and then people have to go in to kind of clear the bodies up, some of which have come back to life. And this woman's going to find her husband who went on holiday. I think that's about it. I watched Deathstalker 1, 2, and 3. There you go.
That the one with the really good video cover that looks like Conan.
A very fantasy.
But are they the 18 versions? Like there's the there's women with boobs out most of the time.
Yeah. I don't think you get away with it now, but it's all good, harmless fun. But yeah, so and I watched that as well. So there you go. Something for everybody. But as always, let's move on, because today in this episode we're talking about The Crazies from 1973. Now, this is the first George A. Romero film we've talked about, so this is quite interesting. Obviously, well, let me start by saying some of the taglines of the film before I go and start talking about George Romero. So, Crazy 73. Actually, it came out on the 16th of March 1973, which is my birthday. I was 1. All hell is about to break loose. A lethal terror snowballs into hell. Man becomes an endangered species. What is it? Where did it come from? An experiment in total terror. This comes around about... So, 68 was Night of the Living Dead. Then 71, There's Always Vanilla, which I've never seen. 72, Season of the Witch. Then 73, The Crazies. And then there was Amusement Park. Again, I've never seen that. Martin. And then 78, Dawn of the Dead. And it carries on. Night Riders, Creepshow, Day of the Dead.
There's a lot of George Romero I haven't really seen, to be quite honest. I've heard about Season of the Witch, and it gets mixed sort of reviews.
Yeah.
But this is one where I think I may have seen little bits of it. And definitely the trailer over the years. Yeah, I chose it because I said we haven't done a George A. Romero film. But the other reason was it's not talked about probably as much as some of the others that are horror films. His other films that aren't horror films, obviously they don't talk about him because he's mainly known for horror. But they don't talk about this one as much, even though it was remade.
Yeah, in 2011, I thought.
Might be. Yeah, 2010 or 2011, something like that.
I've seen the remake. I hadn't seen this until we talked about doing it.
I think I'd seen the remake, although I can't remember anything at all, other than it's got Timothy Olyphant in it.
And there's a pitchfork on the poster or the video cover. Yeah, so 2005, Land of the Dead, then Diary of the Dead, and then Survival of the Dead.
Survival of the Dead, there we go, yeah.
2009, I'm wondering whether that was his last film. But anyway.
Yeah, I think I saw bits of Diary of the Dead. I didn't think it was very good. So, yeah, I never got round to watching Survival of the Dead. The main thing with him, except for maybe Land of the Dead, it was all incredibly independent. Whatever he did, it was all, mainly Pittsburgh, mainly with people he knew.
Yeah.
And good on him for that. I mean, some of the people he asked to be actors, yeah.
Yes, the acting and the film's mixed results, but good on him for doing that. I'll quickly whisk through the cast of this, the main cast. We've got Clank, Harold Wayne Jones. He was in Night Riders. As you'd expect, a lot of these people appear in other George A. Romero films.
Definitely.
We've got Judy Lane Carroll. She was in Hercules in New York. Colonel Peckham, Lloyd Holler. Not really got much for him.
No, didn't do a lot of films.
No. Artie, which was Richard Liberty. He was in Dawn of the Dead, Flight of the Navigator, Miami Super Cops, Bud Spencer and Terence Hill film.
All right.
Yeah, so shout out to him because we love those. He was also in Porky's 2. There you go. David, Will McMillan. He was in Christmas Evil and Clint Eastwood's The Enforcer. Kathy, Lynn Lowry. She was in loads of horror films. I mean, the list went on and on. The main ones I picked out were she was in Shivers, I Drink Your Blood. She was also in a film called Bathtub Shark Attack and many, many more.
Yeah, I looked at the list. I Drink Your Blood and Shivers and this are all very similar kind of themes about a contagious sort of disease that makes you go a bit nuts.
Which was trying to control it.
Yeah, which was definitely a Drink Your Blood and definitely Shivers as well. But I remember very strongly from Shivers. She's got a very certain look about her with her eyes and that.
Yeah, she's got quite a striking look, hasn't she? And then finally, the only other one I'll call out is Dr. Watts, which is Richard France, who was in Night and Dawn of the Dead. He played a very similar role, but we'll talk about him when we get into the film because he's got a very interesting acting style.
Yeah.
Well, he's one of the better actors, actually, which says a lot about the rest of the cast, but he's got a very distinctive... He's kind of almost like I suppose, this is very UK-based. He all kind of almost reminds me of a Brian Blessed. He's got a very interesting delivery of lines.
Well, yeah, it seems over the topness, but I think there's also he emphasises certain things. You know what it reminds me of? Toast of London, but with Matt Berry.
Yeah.
The way he sort of emphasises certain lines.
Yeah, actually, yeah. Matt Berry's a good comparison, actually. Yeah.
Because, yeah.
Right. So that's the cast. Give a shout out to them. Well done, guys. So, and the alternative title to this film is Codename Trixie. Right, let's start. The Crazies, 73, isolated farmhouse, Evans City. Billy is playing tricks on his sister. I quite like this. I quite like the starting bit where the kind of the older brother is playing tricks on his young sister, and then they hide away, and then they hear their dad going, crackers, ape shit, Fruit Loops, smashing the place up.
You see it in the shadow in the background while they're playing, so you don't know what's going off at first.
Yeah, you kind of see a shadow of somebody going a bit crazy. And then the kids realise that the place has been doused in kerosene, which is never a good sign. And they realise their mum has been murdered as well. So it kind of all kicks off from the very beginning. And then the vivid red writing, the Crazies, comes up. And the farmhouse goes up. Not a bad opener.
It's really good.
Something is off in Evans City. Then we get introduced to David, who's a Vietnam vet, and his pregnant girlfriend, Judy, who's a nurse. She gets called in to look after the Mitchell kids, who we've just seen, because they got badly burned. There's loads of sirens blaring. One of the things I'll say about this film is there's loads and loads of quick cuts. It's tried to emphasise the fact that it's panic from beginning to end.
Yeah, George A. Morero did a lot of his own editing on a lot of his films, and you can tell it here. Reminds me of Russ Meyer films, and I don't know whether you've ever seen.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot, generally, well, it's softcore kind of porn, but it isn't really, because he's too good at editing and putting it together. But yeah, there's lots of intercuts and cuts of things. The only thing I always find with George A. Morero, and I'm going to mention it multiple times, but I'll mention it right at the beginning as well. He does like to just take his music from like a catalogue a lot of the time.
The music was all over the place for this fucking film. There's one bit where it sounds like Joan Baez's playing out, quite soothing romantic music, and it doesn't suit the scene at all.
Yeah, he picks a bit randomly. I mean, the ending music's pretty good. I think it works better in Dawn of the Dead because he's also got Goblin that sort of help as well, and he's got the gonk, which is kind of a supermarket music. Anyway, I digress. But the point is, yeah, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. In this particular case, it is all over the bloody place.
It's all over the place.
Yeah,
I think there's overdubbing as well of the army guys as well in the masks.
Sometimes they're muffled, sometimes they're not. I get it. It's made fairly on the cheap, but yeah, there's a lot of background noise, and there's the crickets.
Yeah,
there's one bit for about 20 minutes. That's constantly incredibly loud in the background. And you just go, what the fucking Christ. Anyway, carry on.
There's always something going on. Back to the story. So we've got David, a Vietnam vet, Judy, who's his pregnant girlfriend. She gets called in to look after the kids. So she gets called into Dr. Brookmeyer's office. Now we also meet Clank, who's a Vietnam vet. And Dave, they head to the farmhouse to fight the blaze. When Judy arrives at the clinic, she finds a doctor in full face mask, in confusion. She goes and talks to Brookmeyer and Major Ryder. It's pandemonium. The army has moved in, quarantined the area, sealing off the town. The farm continues to burn, and Dave and Clank learn that the farmer killed his wife and was laughing like a hyena, then crying like a baby. They realise he's gone insane. Doc Brookmeyer warns Judy of the highly contagious virus and tells her to sneak off because she's preggers, obviously. The acting's not great in this film. It's patchy at best. But we're getting a lot of things thrown at us, so we soon kind of learn what the story is.
You generally get there's an outbreak, and that it is a man-made bioweapon virus that they claim was a vaccine or something, which is quite relevant. So that was pretty good. But it's all sort of background for Three things generally is how this film's made, I thought. There's one room where the soldiers and doctors have an argument. There's another room where there's some politicians, and then the president, with the back of his head, turns up on the telly.
Yeah, we don't get to see his face, we just see the back of his head.
On a black and white TV. And the third bit is generally them running around in a forest, either shooting guns or in a field somewhere.
Yeah.
And they're the more interesting bits for me. And I was saying to you earlier that I'd kind of zoned out a bit anytime it went back to one of the two rooms.
The officials when they're debating things and all that kind of thing. Yeah.
And I guess in Dawn of the Dead, you got the same thing, but for about 15 minutes at the beginning, and then not really anymore, apart from the odd bits where they would have an argument. Here, it's more about the politics and the military and the machinations of all that malarkey. But
whether that makes for entertaining viewing, I'm not convinced, really.
There is quite a lot of... There's probably more action in this than any of his films I've seen. But the trouble is, it's massively... Like, the brakes are massively put on whenever it goes back to either the soldiers and the doctors arguing in a room or the politicians arguing in a room.
Dave and Clank decide to head to the docks. They hear the army is dishing out injections. They only seem to be dishing out the injections for the army. There doesn't seem to be enough for any of the townsfolk. So 15 minutes in, and they're already talking about nuking Evans City to contain the spread of the virus. And then there's some stock footage of a plane.
Yeah, I don't mind all that stuff. Again, you could tell a lot of it, because it's generally in two rooms or in a field. He's made it on the cheap. He's made it incredibly independently, which is a big surprise, because I always thought Night of the Living Dead did flipping well.
Then maybe at the time it didn't do so well, I don't know.
But, well, I think he did like just doing stuff independently. He didn't like anyone telling him what to do.
Dr. Watts is sent, Richard France. He says, "I'm a key man on the Trixie team. A key man! I'm a developer of the goddamn thing." I won't be able to do an impression of him, although I've tried. Just his delivery of every line is brilliant. But we do learn a plane crashed that contained an experimental vaccine. That's what we're told at the beginning, but it turns out that it's a biological weapon they were developing, but that's the initial story that people are being told. At one point he says, "Jesus Christ, this is so random." And I thought, yeah, like his delivery of the lines, to be honest. Continued panic, mayhem, pandemonium, and that's just the army. We're not really seeing the panic of the town yet. We see all the kind of army scurrying around and them not really knowing what they're doing. We've got back with Major Ryder. He learns that Colonel Peckham's being sent in to assess the situation. I'll probably cut all this because it's a bit boring. About 20 minutes in, well, the kids just want to have fun, don't they? And the party gets shut down by the soldiers in white suits and gas masks. Hey, what is this? The army also goes into motels and turf out randy couples.
Yeah, there's a big montage of people getting kicked out of stuff and kids being picked up and screaming like young kids.
The army even goes into people's homes to evacuate them. Loads of bad actors, but I think a lot of the actors were the actual people of Evans City, to be honest. So, juicy little scene as the mayor clashes with Major Ryder and Colonel Peckham arrives. Dave and Clank track down Judy and they are confronted by the army. So anyway, recap. Martial law declared as army round up the townsfolk and move them into the local school. Bombers are ready to destroy the town if necessary. Dave, Judy and Clank are rounded up with Katie Fulton and her father Artie in a van. And we kind of stay with this small group now throughout the film.
Well, when we're not cutting back to the other two rooms of politics and soldiers.
We start to get a feeling that Clank is a loose cannon. We're not sure at the moment whether that's because he's been infected or whether he's a bit of a loose cannon. Anyway, army discuss how the virus may have made it into waterways, although we, the viewer, haven't seen many crazy cunts yet. We haven't been introduced to many of the townsfolk who have gone mental yet. We've just heard a lot of talk about it.
Well, you saw one right at the beginning and then the other guy shooting.
The virus wasn't developed as a vaccine, we learn now, but as a biological weapon. Even Major Ryder has been lied to. So there's deceit throughout. Brooke Baker, over the radio to Colonel Peckham, tells him that Major Ryder has hit the panic button too early. In reaction to this, Ryder makes this motion.
Oh yeah, it does it up yours thing. Yeah.
What is that motion actually called? If you had
I don't know. It's like up yours. Yeah, you're sort of hitting your
the
pit of your elbow, which there's no name for.
As an insult.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's called.
Yeah.
But I'd like to know.
He's not the greatest actor. To be honest, out of all of them, I thought the guy that played Colonel Peckham, Lloyd Holler, he's good because he gets angry when you should, and he's calm when you should be as well. That's
called acting. Yeah. When you react in a realistic way. Yes. The sheriff is shot as the army try and take weapons from them. So there's a bit of a clash between the army and the mayor and the local enforcement, and the sheriff gets shot.
Who shot the sheriff?
Who shot the sheriff? Gunfight with gunshots. I've read a gunfight with gunshots. Squibs aplenty. Lots of squibs, which will look good on the white suits of the army. A few crazies as the army burst into a home. Oh, and this is the bit where the army burst into a home, and actually we've got one of the better scenes of the film.
I did think this was my favourite scene out of the entire film. It was the one bit that makes it creepy and more like a horror film, and I'll say it probably near the end as well. It's probably not a horror film.
Well, I wrote here, first real bit of horror.
There's bits that are really sad and a bit, weird and wrong, which we'll get into. But this bit is a creepy bit. They're like evacuating this one house. He goes upstairs and there's grandma rocking backwards and forwards with just knitting. And he's going, what are you doing? You're all right. She slowly walks up and just stabs him repeatedly with a knitting needle in his white suit. I mean, it doesn't make a lot of sense that he doesn't retaliate a lot, mind you, but...
I think the idea is he's meant to be really... Well, he says, Jesus! He's meant to be really shocked by it because he doesn't expect it, I suppose.
You would. Yeah, and he's sort of crawling away because she's now then gone back to her seat.
Yeah, she goes back to her knitting.
Yeah.
And actually, it's stabbed in him and almost the yarn is still connected to him.
Yeah, that's quite cool as well.
Which I thought was good.
And then the next bloke goes up and says, what's going off here?
What's going off here?
And she just like rocking backwards and forwards, smiling. And you go, that's pretty creepy.
She's insane.
Yeah, she's nuts. But yeah, that was the most horrific bit, I think, out of the entire film. There's not a lot of suspense. I don't think George A. Romero does suspense a lot. He does sort of gore.
I think Dawn, maybe Night, but Dawn, I think, is probably his best film. Apart from you worrying about the zombies finding out where they're hidden in the supermarket, the mall, I don't think there is much suspense.
But that's okay. That's not what he does. I think, again, I'm going to say my favourite director. I think John Carpenter, that's all he does. Where George Romero he does a lot of political commentary in his films by virtue of whatever he's doing. Like Dawn of the Dead is all about consumerism and all that lot. You can go into that. But also, dead gory as well. So that's the other bit. But anyway, but that one bit with the grandma, I've gone, all right, that's quite horrific and creepy. Kind of expected it, but didn't know that it was going to go quite the way it does. So yeah, it's good.
Dave, Judy, Clank, Kathy and Artie Fulton are in the back of a van. They managed to escape in the van with the army in pursuit, hot pursuit. And as I've already said, we now spend a lot of time with that group of people.
And is this the kind of car chase with the banjo music playing? Which doesn't make... I mean, I get it, but it seems inappropriate. And also, for some reason, I'm thinking banjo music, car chase, that'd normally be during the day. And this is at night with two vans sort of chasing each other in gas mask. It's not quite the same.
It's more Dukes of Hazzard than the Crazies. Dr. Brookmeyer and Dr. Watts discussed the possibility of the virus being reversed. Watts says 2 of my technicians caught the bug from a rhesus monkey before he finally died. But he does talk about the symptoms of the virus, which is death or mindlessness, incurably mad. Our escapees hide out in a golf clubhouse. They meet Randy Couples. let's forget that. We're about half an hour in. Dave looks after Judy whilst Clank has concerns about the Fultons. So this is Artie and Kathy, who both seem to be going. Well, basically, Clank says to Dave, the chick's got the bug. So he already thinks that she may already be infected, but they're sticking together at the moment anyway. Intimate moment between Dave and Judy. Just odd tone. There was an odd tone to it when they were talking. It was meant to be a little bit of a romantic bit, but I thought it was a bit odd. Anyway, that's it. They move on. Continues to show the army managing the outbreak. Keep the virus contained wherever possible. And there's also a comment about how can you actually tell who's infected? Well, there's actually a noise that is played out as people seem to be acting more and more insane.
Oh, it goes,
they have this which I thought was interesting. I did write at this point, about half an hour in, the acting's all over the place and the music is as well. This montage you're talking about as the army jokes as they loot bodies and they burn the
and again
bodies.
This is really good. I mean, it reminds me a bit of Night of the Living Dead in terms of what they do right at the end. But yeah, it's literally like burning bodies because they've been told to. But they're taking all the jewellery off them.
Looting them,
Which again, Dawn of the Dead, they did that. If you remember, the gang come in and take all the jewellery off them, the zombies and all this lot. But yeah, and then one of them becomes infected, one of the actual guys in the white suits, and they set that bugger on fire as well.
Yeah, he does a bit of firewalk, doesn't he? Which was good. A good bit, I thought that was quite good. There's also a bit where they go into a church and a priest sets himself alight as the congregation gets dragged away by the army as well.
Yeah, it's good.
He sets himself on fire. There's all-out warfare between the townsfolk and the army now.
Yeah, so there's like hillbillies with guns and start throwing dynamite as well.
Yeah, I noticed that. I thought, sticks of dynamite, wow.
Generally, they probably would have the fuckers. Why wouldn't they? But the best bit is in the background is a woman sweeping the grass.
And there's a woman sweeping a field. I love that. But that was the first bit where I thought they properly showed somebody completely fucking mental.
Yeah.
In the background.
Well, everything while the hillbillies are shooting and throwing dynamite at the guys, I guess there's another bit of that where you say, aren't they really crazy? Or they're just going, who the fuck are these guys in white suits telling us what to do?
Well, that's the thing. All the townsfolk with guns, you just think they're defending the town. It's only when you see somebody sweeping a field that it's somebody actually crackers maracas.
Well, yeah, but I think there's levels of crackers because Clank goes mental.
Oh, yes.
Without actually, I think there's and again,
but
unfortunately, there's a daughter and a father that go crackers in. But I thought that was quite good, different. Obviously, he got hold of a helicopter off someone, spent a bit of money. Fuck me. I don't need to see a pissing helicopter that often in the sky chasing people. Jesus Christ.
Well, quickly before we move on to the helicopter, someone gets a pitchfork in their arm. There's a bit of blood and gore if you want, because there's not that much in this film.
Oh,
really.
no, definitely not.
And also, there's more killings, and then our group of escapees, Dave, Clank and the others, Kathy starts laughing kind of maniacally. That's when they start to realise she's watching on and they realise that she may be
she's laughing
infected.
at everyone getting killed and that, which is...
more action now where we get gunfire, helicopters, explosions, loads of cuts. So again, it's trying to emphasise the dramatic nature of this film. Everyone's crammed into the school as well now. They've all been rounded up and there's complete bedlam. See, it keeps shifting from one scene to the next, really.
Yeah, the school bit's not great. Well, again, but I guess because some of them go nuts, then you can excuse some of the kids that are obviously laughing when they're getting pushed about. But the bit I've written down, so here we go. The doctor, so it cuts back to the doctor,
Are you gonna say that?
Yeah, well, I've written it slightly different, but yeah, he's on the phone, and I can't.
So hang on, let me set this up. So we've got everybody's crammed into the school, and there's general bedlam, and then it switches to Dr. Watts, who's Richard France, is it? Dr. Watts, who's continuing to search for a cure. And he shouts over the phone,
Stick it up your big, fat, electronic ass.
I had shove, but
I think it was stick.
It might
Actually,
be.
Go on.
I
think
mean,
we in Britain we'd say shove it up your arse.
shove it
I
up
think
your big fat
But
electronic ass.
I think the real way does it because I've written it and then underlined where he gets it. He emphasises it.
Isn't it? I tried
Goes
to
like,
write it the way he
escalates, yeah.
emphasises the bits.
Stick it up your big, fat, electronic ass.
I love it. Every time he makes a call to the government, the army, he has to go through this laborious. They have to approve that it's him, so he has to go through this fucking rigorous process. So, anyway, so yeah, it's quite more shooting. We're back with the group. They're looking on. They spot a chance to hold up in a farm for a while. We join a couple of soldiers. There's 3 soldiers in this house that the group are gonna have spotted this house, and then we go into the house and there's some soldiers. For some reason, one of the soldiers seems to be wearing a really bad, dodgy wig, really jet black wig. I don't know why.
I didn't notice that. That could
maybe
be just...
it's his hair.
Yeah, it could be.
Well,
I mean, that people
wow.
had the hair like that in the 70s.
Yeah, I suppose maybe I'm just jealous. Maybe, but it's a very very jet black hairpiece. Dave and Clank charge in, but Clank is too gun happy. He goes mental and he starts shooting everybody.
Yeah, but not for any apparent reason, really. So this is where you go, I think Clank is
gone.
Nuts.
Yeah.
Which then makes you go, well, are the hillbillies nuts or just going against the man? You don't really know because it could be either way. Right, now it gets dodgy. I think we need to now talk about Artie and Kathy.
Well, so Artie and his daughter, Kathy, yeah, we've got this thing, but David, out of all of them, still seems very much unaffected, which is kind of key for the film.
Right till the end, I guess.
Right till the end, when we learn for some reason he never becomes affected.
And now we're going to talk about Artie and Kathy.
Artie seems to be getting more and more touchy-feely with his daughter. We do switch. This is the bit where we get the army talking to the back of the president.
Well, the politicians, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, so they're talking... Yeah, the politicians, sorry, yeah. And the president debate on how they can cover up this shit show. They're trying to say it'd be better to play it as a radiation outbreak is preferable to an accidental release of a biological weapon. So there's all this kind of political debate going on. So we get this bit. When Clank discovers the insane father and daughter getting fruity, he quite rightly beats him.
It's fucking hell. Out of all of it, I mean, it's not the most horrific bit, it's the most dodgy bit. I'm surprised. I wonder whether this got cut in certain places, because out of all of it, it's horrible.
There was never anything like this in any of his other films, was there? So no. I wonder whether he put this in just to...
Well, it definitely shocks you. And I guess it goes, this is really fucking mental. Because it's, I mean, I don't want to get to... I'm going to explain it a little bit. So he keeps going on about... there's hints that he goes, I protect my beautiful daughter, which is already getting a little bit creepy because she's quite old.
Let's be clear at this point. The father and daughter at this point have both gone insane. From the virus, I think. Well, yeah, it's suggested they've gone.
Well,
insane.
Yeah. Well, I'm assuming that, yeah, but it's not obvious with the father anyway. Until they're in this bed again. It's not naked or anything. He, he starts to just do stuff.
Sex.
Yeah. Well, that's okay then. But what makes it worse is he kind of a few seconds in realizes, oh shit, this is wrong. She's into it. And that's when I went, oh, wow, I'm out. This is wrong.
You tapped out?
Yeah, because she kind of... She sort of pulls him in and goes, all right, we're doing this. And he goes, oh, shit, no. And then Clank comes in and goes, you sick fuck. But they're both fucking sick. That was a bit where I went, oh, my God, this is really...
But you tapped one out. She had gone completely Fruit Loop by then. I was uncomfortable with the scene... I was surprised by it as well because I'd never heard about this.
No, I'm surprised.
Anywhere. So
I would have thought out of all of his films, this is probably the most problematic that I would have thought would get caught.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we were seeing the uncut one. I don't know. So yeah, when Clank discovers them, he beats the father, and then immediately after that, Judy opens her cupboard and finds that Artie has hung himself. He seems to have a blacked up face. At
Yeah,
that point he's
yeah.
hanging.
I know.
But anyway, yeah. So,
But he's obviously semi come to his senses, like he did during the act, and gone, "What have I done?" And then just hung himself. So yeah.
quite soon after that, Kathy eventually she wanders out onto a field and she's approached by some soldiers. And he's shot. I quite like it. I quite liked it because she just goes, "Oh," and then she gets shot by them.
Yeah, and she just falls down, and it's a shot of the landscape with the soldiers and her falling down, and then in the foreground you just see a load of sheep sort of rush past, which one of his better shots. To be honest, he does very nice arty shots actually. George Moreira, I think he's pretty good. I'm sure he'll be glad up in heaven talking about this if he hasn't come back as a zombie.
When did George? Was it 2017? I'm not sure when he died.
I can't remember. It's probably longer ago.
2016, 17. Maybe I don't know.
Forget it.
We'll
put it in.
We'll find that.
The ghost might make a comeback if the lazy bastard that plays him will look in.
Listen. Clanker is now, I think, we're about an hour and a half in. Clanker is now fully infected. And there's a full-on gun battle in the woods. He's eventually gunned down, actually a headshot. Clean headshot.
This is what the goriest bit in the film, I think, because it shoots at the side of his head and it spurts a bit.
Yeah, a bit of a squib at the side of his head.
So, if you're expecting Dawn of the Dead levels of gore, just fast forward to that one bit.
Or Day of the Dead, which is even...
Well, yeah, you won't get anything close to that. But no, there's not... Again, I think it's more of a thriller with gore... Well, tiny little bits of gory bits in it. But that's the goriest bit I've noted. Even the pitchfork, you didn't really see it. But that you did actually see a squib out the side of his head.
And it's accompanied by, again, I keep saying Joan Baez because it just sounded like some haunting music. Watt has stumbled upon some kind of a breakthrough, a cure. This is it. This is it. And he leaves the lab with the important samples. But for fuck's sake, he gets trampled to death by a stampede of morons. He's holding these samples in a very weird way.
He dies. I be honest, the first time I watched it, I thought he got shot because I wasn't looking. He actually just falls down some stairs, hits his head, smashes up the two things that could be a vaccine for the virus.
So he had the cure right there.
He had the key. He had the secret.
Again, there's a funny noise to accompany the fact that Judy has become infected. So for some reason...
Is it that?
Artie and Kathy are gone. Clank has had a headshot. So David decides to brick Judy up in a little...
Yeah, it doesn't brick her up. He'd use like
what?
Sort of...
Like what?
No,
Are you making sense of the fact
Well, who's hiding her? I thought it was quite a good idea.
What?
He's not literally bricking her up, is he? She can just push it over because they're lightweight fucking ceramic blocks.
She's mental, and all the army people are walking past this. I don't
Your
know.
pregnant wife, remembering that she's pregnant, which he makes a big deal out of.
Child, yes, she has. You're right. I don't know what I'd do, actually. I'd probably brick her up in some way.
He bricks her up, runs off, twats one of the guys in white suits and nicks his white suit.
Yeah, he dresses up as an army guy just to confuse his mental...
misses when he goes back to her. But before then, really important that you know, he's looking out of the window and one of the windows says screw. Someone's licked the finger and gone,
or lick the window. Because
yeah.
some of them are insane. So somebody might have licked the window.
But yeah, it just says the word screw.
David bricks her up. He dresses as an army guy just to confuse her. And then when he goes back, she inadvertently gets shot. And he's very upset by it. And he gets dragged away by the army.
She gets shot by the hillbillies.
Yeah, she gets shot by the townspeople, not by the army who've been shooting everything.
You realise he's nuts because he goes, oh, so's about that, and just sits down.
Yeah.
And then the army turn up to take him away. There's a lot of, to be honest, it is quite fucking grim that she goes on about kids kicking in her as she's dying, and you go, fuck me.
it's quite dark, to be honest. And then really the film ends with David gets kind of dragged away by the army. And again, I don't know whether in a different version of this film there's more of a suggestion that David is immune to the virus, because I've read bits where there was alternative endings where it seemed to play on more the fact that he has an immunity to it. But there's also reports that the virus has spread to other cities and towns.
Yeah, spread to Louisville.
Yeah.
And that's where there's a helicopter to pick up Colonel Peckham,
who's being moved on to the next town along to try and
I
contain
thought this was a really
the virus.
good shot, actually. So there's a bit of it. They could have sped this fucking bit up at the end. But yeah, he's been told he's got to move there because it looks like it's spread. But you do see David, he kind of looks at him and there's talk of...
there's a kind of knowing glance between them, isn't there?
But yeah, but the shot, again, because he spent some money with a helicopter, it's from above and he has to get naked to get changed and then he gets airlifted away.
Is that the good shot?
Yeah. But he gets airlifted away and then you sort of like mash at the beginning. You see what he's leaving behind and then this song comes in, Heaven Help Us! Nothing like that. But it's called Heaven Help Us, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the lyrics are incredibly... obviously tailor-made to the film.
It's been written.
Yeah.
Clank!
But no, I thought that it was quite good, actually. I thought it was nicked from something else because I thought it was that good.
And that is where we leave the film as the virus continues to spread.
It's semi-hopeful. No, it isn't.
No.
It's not quite Night of the Living Dead, but it's not Dawn of the Dead either, so there you go.
And that's the end of The Crazies from 73. So let's review the film.
Heaven help us. The beautiful song referred to in this episode. Hello, the ghost here. The TNA ghost. The song referred to in this episode is Heaven Help Us by Beverly Bremmers. Heaven help us. Beautiful.
You go first.
Okay. George A. Romero.
I went up and down with my rating.
Yeah, well, I kind of did. I struggled a little bit with the film. I'll tell you why I struggled with it. For a film where it's cut so quickly and there's so much going on, it does feel incredibly fucking long. I think it's way too long. The film's way too long. I think it's an hour and 40 minutes.
Yeah,
it's too much. Yeah, I don't think the action's that well done. But saying that, it almost feels to me like it was George's practice for Dawn. It feels like a practice piece. Because it kind of tries to cover the similar themes that Dawn of the Dead and these other zombie films cover inevitably because it's an outbreak of something, you know. I didn't mind it. I was entertained, but I felt I drifted away from it at times. So I kind of give it about a 5 out of 10. I thought it was fun. I think for people, I mean, this is a bit pointless in a way because I think for people who are fans of George A. Romero's films, I would recommend it anyway because, like as I said, it covers similar films. But I think most people who are fans of George A. Romero's films will have already hunted this down and watched it anyway, so it's a bit pointless. So I would recommend it for those people. For the rest of the people, I think it's absolutely fine as a one-off watch. I would never go back to it and watch it again. 4.5, 5 for me.
Okay. This is one of the few films I did have to watch twice because the first time I was absolutely with you, but I gave it a higher rating the first time than the second. So I drifted in and out. What I liked is the bits that were a bit weird, like Grandma stabbing the blokes because it was a bit weird, and the incestuous bits with the dad and that. But the point is that made it stand out from the usual shite that we might watch and go, this is just shit. And I was just surprised. And again, anything that surprises me gets a Tony bonus straight away.
A bony bonus.
And again, his acting is always is amusing and Dawn of the Dead and anything else. But
oh yeah, I do like his acting. Matt Berry
Yeah.
His acting is great.
Toast of
Yeah.
London. So, yeah, I gave it a 7 the first time. No, I
Wow.
dropped it. I did drop it to a 6 and I compromised and made it 6.5 because I liked the ending as well, that it was sort of, it's not, again, as a horror film, if you're just after a pure horror film, this isn't it. Definitely not. But as a film that's a bit different to what you would normally watch, I think, yeah, I'm glad I watched it. Again, like most of the films we watch, it's hard to say, would I watch it again? This is one of the few that I literally did, because normally I'm a lazy git and only watch it once.
I think he was honing his craft with this one. That's what.
I thought he was on about me.
No, no, you fuck me. I think he was honing his craft because I think the bleak ending and the bit he did.
But he did that in Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah, well, yes, and obviously, I personally think Night of the Living Dead was a better film.
Oh yeah,
all round, obviously.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
I think Dawn of the Dead is a better film all round, and he kind of there's
This is
comparisons. There's somewhere.
It's no comparison. It's nowhere near as good as that. But it's. I hadn't watched it because I didn't think it was going to be anywhere near as good as those two films, and it isn't. But it's not bad actually in comparison. But even though I've been jaded by loads and loads of other films, there was still a couple of bits I just went, I don't think I've seen quite as creepy as that. It doesn't need much now to jump up a couple of marks, you know what I mean? But I agree, there is a lot of bloody discussion in Rooms.
I give it 5. I'd still recommend people go out and seek it out.
Yeah.
Like I say,
it's
difficult.
It's not one of them so bad it's good. It's just hard to get through some of it because it's a bit tedious in places. Yeah. But when it's good,
it stands out.
It's an actual good film, not a bad good film, if that makes sense.
So that,
6.5 for me, and
5 for me.
For you?
Yeah. And that was George A. Romero's The Crazies. We are horror movies with TNA.
Why don't you listen to more of us?
You should check us out.
Thanks for listening.
Bye, everybody. I love you guys.
Hello, it's the ghost here, hitting you with fact. George A. Romero, born February 1940, died July 2017.